Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me, Dorothea, through an Orthodox Christian lens. This video is about Orthodox Christian prophecies, a couple of them that have occurred, fulfilled, they've been fulfilled, and then what is to come next, according to Metropolitan Neophytos, on just the next couple steps. People are saying different things, not totally different, but there's a lot of things that are happening almost at the same time. But I'm just going to center on this thing, this particular talk that Metropolitan Neophytos had in December 2024. So I'm going to go from there. We'll discuss this stuff. So I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll read it because it's in Greek and you see the words there, the subtitles, and we'll go from there. It says, look, within a single week, such major events have occurred in neighboring Syria, affecting not only the region of our Near East, including the whole Middle East, but the whole world. Even those who did not believe in the prophetic words of the saints started calling me. And they are asking, is now the time for what the saints told you to happen, or should we expect something else? Our humble Metropolitan of Metropolis of Morpho has published this erotologian. Yeah, he's got that up there for people to see. This is I can't pronounce that, for 2025. It is dedicated to 50 years refugees. Inside there's a text of mine, an interview, where I talk about the pain of the refugee over these 50 years, 1974 to 2024. On the back, we included one of the many marches held by the people of Morpho at the beginning of October every year, protesting the prolonged occupation of northern Cyprus by Turkey. Do you want me to write something on this photo of the march? The person asked. Yes, I said. Write down 50 years refugees waiting for the miracle, and the Kurds. Excuse me, he said. Write down exactly as I say. 50 years refugees waiting for the miracle, and the Kurds. This was in August. I'm not a prophet myself, but I believe in God's people, Orthodox saints, etc., who prophesy. We've said long ago that both St. Paisius, who fell asleep in 1994, and a fellow villager of mine, Demetrius Protopapas, who was a chanter, used to say, my children, you will become refugees. Many will die while in displacement. But when you and your children hear that a new country has been established in Turkey called Kurdia or Kurdistan, then you will return back home. There will be no war in Cyprus. The war will be taking place elsewhere. Wherever I spoke of this over the past decades, people reacted back with ironic smiles and comments. Now I think that the creation of a Kurdish state is as clear as day. It doesn't mean it will happen tomorrow. Regardless of them, the Kurds being attacked and killed by the Turks are being. It will happen because it's a goal of the fake allies I mentioned earlier, the Israelis. Oh boy, okay. So, yes, we know that the Turks can't stand the Kurds. And so, yes, that's been going on for a while. But now the goal of the fake allies I mentioned earlier, the Israelis. So based on the prophetic words of the saints, we are waiting the following events from here on according to my estimate. A man of God, Antony of Siasta, who fell asleep some years ago, had said, when the war starts from Syria, I think it has indeed started. The war will prolong, it will multiply. What we expect from here on, and it's good to know them not out of curiosity, but in order for us to deal with phobias and insecurities. The big ones have their plans. Indeed, they do, all of them. But God has his plan too. What God revealed to his sanctified people. Whether they are called Saint Cosmas the Anatolian, Saint Paisios, and many more. Or, I can't pronounce that, here in Cyprus, or Demetrius Protopapas, and many more. What God revealed to them is, first, there will be great bloodshed in Syria. Okay. This is the first part, according to here, that we're talking about that's leading up to World War III here, is, according to these saints that he's mentioned, bloodshed in Syria. Well, of course, we know that's been going on. We know because of, as I mentioned, the 7,000 Alawites and 1,000 or hundreds or whatever it was for the Christians that have died about 3 or 4 months ago. And then there's been cases of them being killed, the Christians around Syria, but small numbers, in certain cities around Syria, but the main portion, they're saying now it was up to like 10,000 Alawites and some Christians since then. And then we, as I said, we just heard about the the terror attack in Damascus, the Orthodox Church there. So as you see, that's still going on, but that's the first thing. The Israelis will strike Iran's nuclear program. They are already preparing for it. Again, here he's bringing this up December 2024, and 6 months later, the Israelis struck the Iranians' nuclear program. Interesting, huh? So those two things have happened within a span of 6 months, which is interesting to note, because nobody has exact time frames, exact days, exact months, but it's interesting that within 6 months between the fall of Assad and the Syria situation, and then this strike by the Israelis on the Iranian nuclear program. What's next? Either before or after this attack, Erdogan will fall. Okay, this is the next big thing. I notice a lot of Greeks are looking for this. That's their thing. But there's other things happening with Greece as well. And he lives in Cyprus, so he shares a lot of things on that. But here, he's talking about the next portion, that the thing that's an event is the fall of Erdogan, before or after this attack. Well, since we have seen the attack has taken place and Erdogan is still there, although he is not running again, he gets into some detail here that I hadn't heard before. So let's listen, or let's read. Right now, Erdogan is considered one of the world's great leaders. The President of the United States even said about him, he's a smart guy. That's what he called him, smart guy. What can we do about it? This is how things are in our times. Whoever holds military power prevails. He also commented that Erdogan succeeded without much bloodshed in taking Syria. Essentially, he legitimized him. I would use another term in modern Greek. He emboldened him and even praised him. He did this deliberately to provoke Erdogan into starting a war with the Kurds now. Interesting that he says this. I hadn't heard him say this before, so I had missed this video, but he's saying this was deliberate, that he's given him he's emboldened him, apparently the U.S. president, I guess he's talking about, has emboldened Erdogan, so that, they've given him the green light because of the fact, I think I understand, because of the fact that he was able to take Syria, and the Americans didn't do anything, and nobody else did. So he's thinking, great, I could do what I want with the Syria issue. Erdogan might be thinking that, of course, with that encouragement, as he put it, basically, that Erdogan is, provoking him to start this war with the Kurds now. He says now that's just how he sees. He's how he says it. The saints always say now. The saints always say, okay, it's within some time, but it's good. You'll see. That's what St. Paisios said to a person who was still during the Soviet Union time, during Brezhnev's time in office, and he didn't feel like it was ever going to end, the USSR, this man said, and St. Paisios said, oh no, the USSR is going to break apart, and the man said, oh come on, this can't be. I have a whole thing on that, which I might be able to show you later if you find that interesting, on Saints Cosmas and Saint Paisios, some of their prophetic things, because Saint Cosmas is like pinnacle, one of the biggest saints on prophecies, I've learned just today by reading on that. So anyway, let's go on from there. See what he says. The Israelis are looking for allies. They feel that their main allies in the Mediterranean region are the Greeks, both in Greece and Cyprus. And in the east, it will be the so-called Kurdish state. Remember, the Kurds are a people of 40 million. So what you're saying is what you're seeing here is the Israelis are looking at the Kurds as possible allies because they know that the Kurds and the Turkish do not get along. The Turks and the Kurds have had a long history of enmity. Okay, so the U.S. is promoting them, and eventually there will be a clash between the Israelis and Turkey. So we kind of figured that. I've heard through geopolitical commentators that, like Colonel McGregor, and I think, I'm not sure if former CIA analyst Larry Johnson brought this up, but he might have, because those two powers are both both are always vying for power of land and of they just have that type of personality, the leaders of the two countries. But it's interesting that he says there's going to be this clash between, well, of course, because Israel wants to take over all of Syria and Turkey wants to take over all of Syria for their own reasons. Okay, because Israelis have the Great Israel Project that was out, I think, in the late 70s. And so, that Syria is one of the lands they wanted to take over, as well as Lebanon and Egypt and obviously Palestine and other areas around there, portions of Saudi Arabia, Iraq. So, but Turkey has always wanted to, because Turkey and Syria didn't get along well. So now Turkey, they feel like they've won this conquest without, as he said, without bloodshed. Yeah, because Assad fled. In any case, let's go on a little bit more. And what does the U.S. want? They do not want to lose Turkey from the Western Bloc under any circumstances. However, they want to control Turkey. Can they control Turkey with Erdogan in power? No, they cannot. So they will find a way to remove Erdogan. Now this is new. Not new as in, this is new for me to listen, to hear, or to see in his talk, because apparently I missed this, or it'd been long ago that I saw it and I forgot. So basically, he had said he didn't know how they were going to fall. Back in 2019, he said, actually the last time he said this in 2019, he didn't get into details on that, because the closer you get to the times of the events, I see that there's more detail. So in 2019, he said, well, I don't know if Erdogan is going to fall because of biological reasons or because of violent reasons, or someone taking over. Well, now he's saying, this is December 2024, he's saying they will find a way to remove Erdogan, meaning the Western powers, because they want Turkey to be submitting more to the U.S. And right now with Erdogan, it's flip-flops a lot. Erdogan's always back and forth on things and trying to play both sides of the field. So this is interesting. And this will indeed happen. Those who come to power after Erdogan will be pro-Western and fiercely anti-Russian. Then we will witness the Russo-Turkish conflict, a war between Russia and Turkey. So what we get on that is that, and we know from reading the other prophecy from the Russian side, is that Russia knows that once Erdogan's out, Turkey, he doesn't want Turkey to be, Russia does not want Turkey to be more part of the NATO alliance, because Turkey has a very strong military, and so that's the issue. It's he knows that the Russians know that that would be a hard foe to win. It would be a powerful one, and so when these others come in power and they're so against Russia, well, Russia can't have that because of reasons of location for their own interests. And perhaps I'll bring that up in another video on that. But in any case, so as we see, the next thing is going to be basically after the Syria and the Iranian attack, the Israeli attack on the Iranian nuke plant, that just basically says, well, the next thing is going to have to do with the fall of Erdogan. And that information is what we'll be looking for, and the issue with the Kurds. So that's the next thing to be aware of. And then the clash between Israel and Turkey. So we'll see what happens with this, but I just wanted to share with you these next important steps in the prophecies that have been foretold, and these are prophetic events that have been unfolding in front of our eyes in our time, in Earth's time, not outside of time, but in our time, which is still unbelievable. But in any case, I wanted to share that with you. Thanks so much for watching. Please follow my channel on Rumble. Please just subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Like my videos if you like them. Share your thoughts if you'd like. Share my videos. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your support. Until next time.